Hello, this is Krystal, and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of Tove Jansson's Comet in Moominland. This is a series that I've started reading because one of the teens is really into the series. I've still got 2 books left, but it's a really cute series. Chapter 1, which is about Moomintroll and Sniff following a mysterious path to the sea, pearl fishing, the discovery of a cave, and how the muskrat avoided catching a cold. The Moomin family had been living for some weeks in the valley where they had found their house after the dreadful flood, which is another story. It was a wonderful valley, full of happy little animals and flowering trees, and there was a clear, narrow river that came down from the mountain, looped round Moomin House, and disappeared in the direction of another valley, where, no doubt, other little animals wondered where it came from. One morning, it was the morning that Moomintroll's papa finished building a bridge over the river, the little animal Sniff made a discovery. There were still plenty of things left for them to discover in the valley. He was wandering in the forest when he suddenly noticed a path he had never seen before, winding mysteriously into the green shadows. Sniff was spellbound and stood gazing at it for several minutes. "It's funny about paths and rivers," he mused. "You see them go by, and suddenly you feel upset and want to be somewhere else. Wherever the path of the river is going, perhaps. I shall have to tell Moomintroll about this, and we can explore it together, because it would be a bit risky for me to go alone." Then he carved a secret sign on a tree trunk with his penknife, so that he could find the place again, and thought proudly, "Moomintroll will be surprised." And after that he scooted home as fast as he could, so as not to be late for lunch. Moomintroll was just putting up a swing when Sniff got home. He seemed very interested in the mysterious path, and directly after lunch they set off to have a look at it. Halfway up the hill on their way grew a clump of blue trees covered with big yellow pears, and of course they couldn't get past that without Sniff deciding that he was hungry. "We'd better only take the windfalls," said Moomintroll, "because Mama makes jam from these." But they had to shake the tree a little so that there were some windfalls. Sniff was very pleased with their haul. "You can carry the provisions," he said, "because you haven't got anything else to do, have you? I'm too busy to think about things like that when I'm the path pioneer." When they reached the top of the hill, they turned and looked down at the valley. Moomin House was just the blue dot, and the river a narrow ribbon of green. The swing they couldn't see at all. "We've never been such a long way from home before," said Moomintroll, and a little goose-fleshy thrill of excitement came over them at the thought. Sniff started to snuffle about. He looked at the sun, felt the direction of the wind, sniffed the air, and in fact behaved in every way like a great path pioneer. "It should be somewhere here," he said busily. "I made a secret sign with my knife on a plum tree, just where it began." "Could it possibly be here?" asked Moomintroll, pointing to a curly flourish on a tree trunk on the left. "No! Here it is!" screamed Sniff, who had found another curly flourish on a tree trunk on the right. At the same time, they both caught sight of a third curly flourish on a tree trunk right in front of them. But it was terribly high up, at least 3 feet above the ground. "That's it, I'm sure," said Sniff, stretching himself. "I must be taller than I thought." "Well, strike me pink," exclaimed Moomintroll, looking round. "There are curly flourishes everywhere, and some of them are nearly 100 feet up. I think you found a haunted path, Sniff, and now the spooks are trying to stop us from using it. What do you say to that?" Sniff didn't say anything, but he got very pale about the nose, and at that moment a cackle of spooky laughter broke the silence. And if you would like to know what happens next, you can check this book out on the Libby app. Please join me here next week as I read from the beginning of the book club selection, Angela's Ashes by Frank McCart. Thank you and have a great week.